Good evening, everyone. Welcome to 49ers After Dark. Sorry we're late, but I don't care. It's my channel. It's my Hey, great to see you, Jesse. How are you?
Oh man, I told you I get hyphy Grant every Wednesday. I love this. I
That's
absolutely
right.
love it.
I don't care that I'm 5 minutes late. Before we start, I want to say if you didn't last week, if you haven't before, subscribe to Jesse's channel. His original channel got nuked for no good reason. It's coming back. He's already passed 1,000 subscribers. I just dropped the link in the channel. I'm going to be doing that frequently, like we're on PBS. It's a little pledge drive. Subscribe to Jessie Naylor. Subscribe to Jessie Naylor. All right. The title of this show is Kyle Shanahan's Master Plan. We're going to make you wait for that because it's so good. It's so good, and I figured it out because I'm so smart. Don't worry. I got it. We're going to lay it out for you, but we're going to start off with some factual stuff. Why Kyle Shanahan likes Trey Lance. I was sitting there, people asking him all these questions about today, about like D Ford and Javon Kinlaw. I'm like, can we please ask Kyle Shanahan about like the elephant in the room here? So I brought out a quote he had from 5 years ago when he was talking about 4 years ago, talking about Colin Kaepernick. This was right after they cut him. Someone was like, why'd you get rid of Colin? And this was, during the time when it was very racial, politically charged.
Yeah.
And so he was like, it's not about that. It's just a football thing. Like he could fit my offense, but we have these other quarterbacks. And if you have two different styles of quarterbacks, you kind of have to have two different styles of offenses. And that means you're not really good at either style of offense. And so it's a football reason that we're not bringing back Colin Kaepernick. Well, yeah, you could believe that or not. But anyway, that's what he said. And he made everything he said checked out. It was true. Football-wise, it was true. So cut to 4 years later, you drafted a guy who's a lot like Colin Kaepernick. You just set up a situation that you said you shouldn't set up as a coach. What's the deal? And so, like, you're just talking about we got to figure out how to execute better on offense. I was like, you said this 4 years ago. The fact that you're doing this very thing now with Lance, is that maybe a reason that you're not executing so well? And he was not prepared for the question at all. And he was like,
no.
Well, what I said was right. And, he didn't really address the question, but what he said is, I disagree with the premise that I have to have another offense for Trey Lance. What I like about Lance is that he can run my offense as opposed to another mobile quarterback. And it was nice to actually hear him freaking say that because we guessed that was the case, and that's why they liked him more than Justin Fields, but we never heard him say it. And it was like, okay, great. Well, this makes me feel like you do like Trey Lance. Only thing I wish I should have followed up, but I'm not there to argue with him. It's like, dude, you didn't show it against the Cardinals. Anyway, I've been talking for 3 minutes. What do you think about Kyle's thing about how he actually what he likes so much about Trey Lance?
Yeah, this is exactly why I thought Trey would be the pick early on. And Trey played a lot under center in college. You go look at his highlights. There's a lot of play action, a lot of bootlegs. That's what he was successful at. Yes, he was good in shotgun and all of those other things that you see happen, but they didn't show that. Again, I keep hearing the 49ers say things, and then they do the exact opposite. I hear him say that Trey's not ready, but then you throw him into red zone situations. Okay, so then I also hear Trey's not ready, and then when you start him for the first time, you go empty set shotgun and put basically 90% of the game on his shoulders. Okay, so I would like to believe this.
Real quick. Shotgun, 3 wide receivers, very little motion, no like zone read option. It's like empty backfield, throw with no play action or run with no misdirection. It was like the antithesis of a Kyle Shanahan offense. Just wanted to define what we were talking about real quick. Keep going.
Well, and I don't know how many people realize this, but there was a span in that game, Grant, where they ended the first half and started the second half, and 24 of 28 plays were all on Trey Lance.
As in not a handoff to a running back.
Nothing. There was 4 handoffs.
This team is famous for winning an NFC championship game, handing off to running backs 45 times or whatever it was. That's what their identity is. And all of a sudden, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can say these things and it sounds fantastic. In fact, it jives with the reason that you would pick Trey Lance. But when you actually play him, you do none of it. And you already contradicted yourself a couple weeks earlier when you had to insert him against Seattle. You said you weren't ready to call a game for Trey because it is different. So which one is it? Is it different or is it the same? Did you pick Trey because this is what you wanted to do? I don't know, man. I feel like every time he talks, I'm more confused.
I messed up as a interviewer. My follow-up should have been, because he followed up by saying you got to stay. Like he ended his answer today saying you have to stay true to your foundation as an offense. I should have said, well, your offense, your game plan against Arizona was not your foundation. What you showed before the bye week was not your foundation. So why did you call it that way for Lance? Why didn't you let him run your offense? And then he might have, I should ask the question. He could have said, well, that is my offense. Or, well, we didn't have George Kittle. Or I don't know. I should ask the question. My bad. Sorry.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because you're going to get that is when it's going to be I call it a leadership circle, where you dance around the answer, but you never actually give an answer.
Yeah, but I should have got his filibuster on the record. Essentially, that was my job. I'll learn from it and get better. My bad. Because I had him. It was a good question. It deserved a good follow-up. It just hit me anyway. So, you like him? You like the way that he actually fits your offense? Well, why didn't you do that against the Cardinals? Dude, he was basically running like the Kyler Murray offense. Let's just go spread all the time. But even worse, like, let's get the running back out of there. Anytime you run, it's just you with a couple of offensive linemen leading the way, like you're Derrick Henry. Why? What? That's messed up, dude.
That's the thing too, right? Like, so many people were excited and thought Fields was going to be the pick. Like, that was what Twitter was filled with the whole time. That was a Fields offense like that. If you were going to draft a quarterback to run that offense that we saw, that was a Justin Fields style offense. And I don't want to hear that we didn't go under center with him because the first time they go play action, he threw a pick. That wasn't because of him being uncomfortable. It was just he stepped up in the pocket. He had a chance to run. He actually saw a wide open player and just airmailed it. That has nothing to do with being under center and going play action.
So you just scrap all of play action because he missed a throw. I mean, he went to the right place. You actually said that yourself. He actually executed it correctly. He just missed. Okay, give him another chance. Yeah. Why would you scrap that entire concept? I wish Kyle would be cool enough to come on this show and sit down with me and just have a football conversation where I didn't have to give him the questions beforehand and he could just answer. Like, Kyle, please explain to me why you thought that game plan against Arizona was the best way to use your talent. Like, just explain it to me, man, because I'm sure you feel that you were right. Make me understand it. Because I feel like if I challenged Robert Saleh like that when he was here, he would have been up for it. All right, let's do it. I would love to explain why I thought this was the right thing to do. Kyle, just make me understand. You're smart. I don't get it. And when you say stuff like, oh, he fits my offense, he can do this and that, show me. Show me.
Right. Shout out to Javi, by the way. He came on my show last night for a good hour. Had a lot of fun talking to him. Yeah.
Love Javi. All right. Well, he's saying the offense is not evolving. Kyle had to scrap the stuff in 21 like he did for McKinnon, and that's a concern to me. Dude, Kyle really hasn't – he's kind of acted like the coach in Waterboy who got his playbook taken from him since he lost that Super Bowl. Like, where is arrogant Kyle? Remember we used to talk about arrogant Kyle? Yeah. Where's that guy?
Yeah.
He got up there today. I've been talking to my dad a lot about – and my wife a lot about, nonverbal communications ever since we were talking about John Lynch and what he's been doing with he's just so awful. Anyway, Kyle Shanahan, I'm trying to pay attention today. He just came up there and whispered his answers. You notice that?
He always looks down. He's always
today. He answered his questions as quietly as possible. And it was like, dude, can you please project a little confidence? Like, you sound like someone who's getting a D- in the class and is staying for after. Come on, man. You're the guy who's the smartest kid in the class. Act like it. What is going on? You went up there and just whispered his answers. Like, this is not a confident man. You mean why you got D'Amico Ryan stands up there with his chest puffed out? Like, what do you want to talk? What do you want to talk? It's like, there's a difference.
He whispers his answers. He looks down.
Yeah,
his body language. I mean, there's nothing about him that just shows confidence. So my question is when he's in front of a team, does he all of a sudden flip a switch? I can't imagine he does.
Good question. Let's answer a couple of questions. Grant, I'd like your perspective of how the NFL has evolved. Need to get you in the locker room ASAP. Also, the players need to hit harder. My take on how the NFL has evolved is that they've used the pandemic to push the media further away. So they never wanted us in the locker room, and now we're gone, and I don't think we're coming back. I really think the NFL is so arrogant that they're so far ahead of the rest of the leagues that they can get all this coverage without really letting the media in, and that, oh well. So it'd be nice if like another league would kind of soccer, basketball would kind of challenge the NFL. So the NFL would have to change their media policy so that the fans could actually get more access to the players, because that would be good.
That's the thing about the NFL, though. It's all about the shield. It's not about the players at all.
At all.
And they don't care if you know what these guys look like with their helmets off. They don't care.
It's terrible. It's terrible. The NBA is about the players.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. And the NFL is not. And I think if the Players Association understood that the media is really, gives the strong safety who's not a star an ability to be in the news locally, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And if we're not allowed to go into the locker room and choose, then it's just who the team wants to promote. And guess what? That's not Emmanuel Mosley. It's not Emmanuel Mosley. They're never going to bring him in front of us, or probably not, because they haven't paid him yet, and they didn't spend a high draft pick on him, and they'll decide when he is a star. He's not a star yet. As opposed to if the locker room was open, hey, Emmanuel, you're kicking ass recently. You've been a freaking stud the last 2 weeks. Let's talk. Nope, can't do that. So when the Niners decide Emmanuel Mosley's good, then we'll talk to Emmanuel.
Very unfortunate. It really is. But like you said, NFL's king, and they know they are. So what? Why are they going to stop?
Yeah, they invite us to practice, and then when practice starts, they're like, "Okay, goodbye. You can't watch." Yeah. Oh, thanks. We get to watch stretching and warming up. It's hilarious. You can come watch practice. Oh, practice is starting. You got to go. What were we going to say? Thanks, Travis. Anything else? Oh, Christian. This all started with the Wildcat formation in McKinnon. What changes if this Sunday we beat Colts big time? And how is Hurd still here but Ayuk? Yeah. It's like his vision for Trey Lance this year is the Wildcat.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Good stuff. What changes this Sunday if we beat the Colts big time?
Well, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that.
I have a theory about it. Maybe not necessarily big time, but winning and losing. This is, I think, a big indicator of the rest of the season.
And how is Hurd still here but Ayuk? That's a good question, man. I don't think I'll ever really understand why the Niners have like never-ending patience for Mike McGlinchey, Jalen Hurd, but Brandon Ayuk just isn't doing enough. I don't get that. Brandon Ayuk is better than Mike McGlinchey. I'll say that right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing. This is what frustrates me about the whole Ayuk thing is both things can be true. It is possible he's not living up to the expectations and the growth that you expected from him. That can be true. But he is also still the second best receiving weapon on this team when George Kittle's out. So what are we doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I got a conspiracy theory about Ayuk.
Okay.
I'm going because it doesn't make sense why you would bury him for players who are worse than him. I think Ayuk went up to him and said, I want to return punts. And I think Kyle resented it. I think from Kyle's perspective, either you want to be a wide receiver, you want to be a punt returner, pick one. And I've been doing my lawyering. I've been lawyering this one up, cross-examining, trying to get people to slip. I was talking to Hightower today. I was like, so how good is Ayuk as a punt returner? I think he could be elite. I think this and that. He was getting excited about it, getting enthusiastic. I was like, well, do you ever kind of wish that you could use Debo as like a kick returner, like maybe in key situations? He's so good. He's like, yeah, he returned 4 kicks for touchdowns in the SEC, like he knew right off the bat. And he's like, but he's doing such a good job on the offense right now. He's such a good wide receiver right now.
That's a good point.
It's one or the other in Kyle's mind. What do you want to do? Do you want to be an elite wide receiver, or do you want to? I think that's the way Kyle looks at it. And if Ayuk went to him and said, I want to return punts, that might have soured Kyle on him right there. Like, he's not serious about being wide receiver. So I think that's it. I think if he went to him, if Brandon Ayuk went to Kyle Shanahan and said, I want to return punts, that might have been enough for Kyle to be like, I don't know about you. That's what I think.
That's really good. That is really good. And this whole separation, this yards per separation, whatever. Okay, I get it. It's down, but again, you can compare them. And I think Javi's one of the guys that did it. He actually took it and compared it. He has the same separation as Allen Robinson and a couple of these other guys that are having really good seasons. You can scheme him open. You're choosing not to.
Choosing not to. Abu Marco 23 says, can you name any other coach GM combination in the league that gets this much respect and patience after this many years in power, and 2, this many failed draft picks, and 3, this overall record? Why? No,
absolutely.
The why is great. The market's a big deal. If it were LA, if it were Chicago, if it were New York, Philly, it wouldn't go down like this. But the Bay's kind of its own thing. And I think they like the idea of having the coach who's smart, even if he's not productive. Like, we want to be cutting edge. We don't necessarily have to win with defense first. We want to be light years ahead of the. I don't know.
It's a pipe dream, right? Because you had Walsh who was cutting edge, and that was fantastic. But Kyle's not cutting edge anymore.
People want Walsh. That's what it is. People want Walsh. They don't want to win with a defensive coach. They don't want to win with a spread offense. They want it to look like it looked in the 80s and the 90s, period. And Kyle, his dad was the offensive coordinator the last time the Niners won a Super Bowl. End of story. That's it. It fits, you know.
His last name matters. It really does. And, you know, people try to say that it absolutely does.
Like Holmgren Jr. as the head coach. It's a big deal.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know, all those years when Singletary was the head coach, or Nolan, it's like, this isn't the Niners. This is Baltimore or Chicago. It's not us. And finally, after all this, Jed figured out, like, okay, I won't try to bring Oregon football here. I won't try to bring Michigan football here. I'm going to bring the Niners back. And it kind of looks right. It just passes the eye test, even though they're 7 games under 500, you know?
Here's the other thing that it does too. And they don't have a lot of pressure on them by even the national media. And the reason is because there's a lot of ex-players in the national media that played for his dad and vouched for Kyle. So because you face no outside pressure from the local media for the most part, right? Only 1 or 2 of you guys are willing to ask tough questions. And then you've got the national media comprised of a bunch of ex-players of his father's. You're never, ever going to have pressure to get rid of him. Everybody else is talking good about Kyle.
Also, when the Niners go bad, there's never a lot of like national scrutiny. Like, what's going on in San Francisco? Like, no one cares on the East Coast. You know, when the Packers go south, people care. When the Giants go south, people care. But the Niners is like, well, they're not a story. That's too bad. I think the national media wants the Niners to be good because that increases the Niners are the West Coast. I mean, the Seahawks, they're kind of, you know, they made the West Coast relevant a little bit. The Rams are new, but like football in LA is kind of an experiment. They don't really care. It's the Niners on the West Coast. It always has been. And when they're good, it's good for the league. It's good for everyone. I feel like there's always like in the off season, everyone's like, hey, the Niners are trying. Yeah. They're on the right track. It's like, man, everyone says that every year about them. When really they're kind of like in the lower tier of organizations since they've had like the Yorks and Parag in charge. I'm sorry, people love Parag, but he's got to be part of the common denominator the last 20 years of why they're not consistently good. Sorry. I mean, teams have no problem with the cap space. Why is Parag necessary? Maybe he was necessary 20 years ago, but the cap is not. There are guys on Twitter who are great with the cap. He's not necessary. I'm sorry. The Parag thing we should talk about him at length some other time, but
he's got a lot of power too.
Way too much power. And anytime you try to hire a general manager, they're going to be like, oh, Parag's going to tell me who I can spend on and what I can. Nah, I'm good. That's not really being a GM. That's like, forget that. Anyway.
Yeah. The other thing too, we talked about Kyle and his dad getting a lot of love from the national media. It's the same thing with Lynch because a lot of those guys played with Lynch. Lynch just got inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Great point. Great point. Also, Lynch worked for Fox for a long time.
Yep.
Fox.
Yep.
One more, and then we're going to – hold on. Yeah, one more, and then we're going to get back to our show and finish the rest of the questions later. What's up, fellas? What's up, Raymond? Why is the run game no longer dominant? That was Kyle's go-to. Is it personnel, injuries, combo? What do you think?
It's Kyle. Kyle's choosing not to run the ball. He's not dedicated to running the ball. All of a sudden, he's turned into a Andy Reid style offense. Like, this is not who he is. He's never developed quarterbacks, but he's always developed running backs. Now, all of a sudden, I've got to believe that he can't take guys who have shown talent like Sermon and Mitchell and be effective with them. No, he's just not committed to it.
Well, Mostert went down. Jeff Wilson went down. And now he's got these rookies that he's acting like he doesn't trust, which is strange to me because they're both good. And when he was my age, 10 years ago, offensive coordinator for Washington, man, he called Alfred Morris's number like 400 times his rookie year. Why all of a sudden are you afraid to give the ball to a rookie? I mean, you gave the ball to Breida a bunch of times when he was a rookie. What is going on here? I think it's probably time that we talk about Kyle Shanahan's master plan because I think this might put everything in perspective. Okay.
Who the hell was Arian Foster before Kyle got a hold of him?
I think Arian Foster was.
Or was he good before?
I think that was Kubiak's. I think that was Rick Dennison.
I'd have to look at it again, but I felt like for some reason he got big under Kyle.
Steve Slayton. Remember Steve Slayton? It was Slayton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Kyle Shanahan's master plan. I think it's come together to me. I've been trying to. It's been so murky. To the point where we're thinking, like, does he even like Trey? What is going on? I think everyone pretty much agrees that Mac Jones was his first choice. And you know what? A lot of people might say Mac Jones is better. I mean, Mac Jones looks good right now. We'll see how it ends up. All of a sudden, it seems like more of a conversation than it seemed like in March. You know what I'm saying? In May. It's like, well, you can make the argument. Mac Jones was anyway.
Well, the only reason, though, too, that is the case is because you know that you could have had Mac at 12. So the argument is Mac at 12 better than Trey at 3 with all the capital?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where people are coming from.
Right. Of course. And that's where I'm coming from. But it's been reported he wanted Mac. He said if you like him at 12, you want him at 3, then you should like him at 3. And maybe in hindsight, Mac Jones was worth a top 3. Who knows? Anyway, it's interesting to hear Kyle say, well, I like Trey. So I think what happened was he liked Mac Jones a lot. There's a lot to like. But he liked Trey Lance too. I like them both too. I get that. I like Trey more. He might have liked Mac more. I like them both. Anyway, I think what happened is it's pretty clear. Whether or not he likes Trey Lance, he likes him. This plan to keep Jimmy Garoppolo and draft Trey Lance was not Kyle Shanahan's plan. It was John Lynch's plan. That's pretty clear. I mean, Kyle pivoted. He likes Trey Lance. He's down to coach him. But Kyle wanted Mac Jones. He wanted Jimmy gone. He wanted Mac Jones. He wanted a fresh start. He wanted to do what Bill Belichick did, I guess. And it seemed like the organization overruled him. They're like, no, we're going to stick with Jimmy. We're going to try to keep him one more year, maybe trade him. We're going to go with Trey. And Kyle's like, okay, fine. That's cool. I'm in. But that's not his plan. It's John's plan, most likely. And the reason they did it is to contend. You like Mac Jones? Well, how do you know Mac Jones is better than a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo? Healthy Jimmy Garoppolo took us to the Super Bowl. We want to contend. So we want to win this year and plan for the future. That's John's plan. And Kyle can be like, all right, I mean, it's not what I would do, but I'll give it a shot. So if it works out, great. You know, Kyle's a genius, John's a genius, everyone works out, blah, 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 blah. If it doesn't, it's John's ass.
Yeah.
It's not Kyle's ass. It's John's ass. And the way they're both acting right now supports that theory, man. Kyle's chilling. He's like, oh, no, we had a good bye week. I saw my family. I was, we were working on, it just doesn't seem really to break a sweat. He's whispering stuff. John, meanwhile, is answering tough questions. He's sweating it out like, oh, when did
Looks like he hasn't had a haircut in a month.
Yeah, like when did I first start scouting Trey? Oh, I was telling you, I just have to check my notes on that one. It's like, oh my God. He's the one who seems like we got to win. We got to win. And Kyle's like, I mean, it seems to me if they don't make the playoffs and Jed feels he needs to hold someone accountable, it's easy to hold John accountable. This was his plan. He said it was going to work. Let's stick with Jimmy. We're going to make the playoffs. Oh, my God, it didn't work again. Well, why would that be good for Kyle, though, if John gets fired? Well, I don't think Kyle wanted John here to begin with. I think Kyle just wanted to run everything. And Jed's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're 37. I can't just do that. We got to bring. So he's all right. Well, you know what? 5 years later, enough with that. Like, thank you, John. I gave you a job, but like, you kind of got in the way at the end and told me what to do, and your plan didn't work. And look at these draft picks. And now I just got more power. Because what are they going to do? They could like promote John Lynch, or he'll resign or something, because you don't want to fire a Hall of Famer, but they'll do something to make it clean. And then they'll probably promote Adam Peters, which is just essentially promoting Kyle. So they make the playoffs, good. They don't make the playoffs, Kyle gets more power. Life is grand for Kyle. He's all good. John is over here, man, like, man, I hope Kyle gets me to the playoffs, man. I don't know if he will. I don't know, man. I would have to question Kyle's motives if I were John, because to me, look, this is the vibe I was getting from Chip in 2016. I felt he thought, look, if we lose this year, it's all good. Like they're gonna fire Trent, not me. They're gonna hold Trent. How could they hold me accountable? It was my first year here, Trent's been here. Well, he guessed wrong. Maybe Kyle's guessing wrong, but I think that's what he's guessing. Like, look, if everything goes bad, it's on John anyway, and I'll get more power, so I'll be good. Sorry, John, I like you. We can still be friends. I got a lot of friends, though, so if you don't want to be friends, it's all good. You can join Matt Flores, my non-friend.
Okay, so a lot to unpack here.
There's a lot to unpack there.
I like it, but I like it. And here's why I say that kind of jives is if it is true that Shanahan wanted Mac, right? Let's just operate under that premise, and that he liked Trey number 2. Well, Jimmy is kind of that stopgap. You're right. And Jimmy was also Lynch's guy. So he can say, listen, like we got Mac here basically for a year. Yeah. I like Jimmy and you like Jimmy. Yeah. I mean, you got us to the Super Bowl. How can you not like Jimmy? So that all jives. Mm-hmm. I think it makes a lot of sense. But also, Grant, we've been saying for 5 months that Lynch was going to get fired if this team wasn't a winning team. We knew it.
Everyone agrees. If this goes south, it's Lynch's head. Well, why? I think we all agree that he stepped in and took charge this offseason. We applauded him at the time. We really wanted Trey Lance over Mac Jones. Well, that's becoming murky. You can still argue that Lance was the right case, but the clincher here is keeping Jimmy. Getting Lance required keeping Jimmy. And keeping Jimmy meant winning now. And missing the playoffs is just, it doesn't make Kyle look bad if internally he was like, well, I didn't want to do this. This is exactly why I didn't want to do it. This is why I wanted Mac Jones over Jimmy Garoppolo, because Jimmy gets hurt. Jimmy gets hurt. Yup, that's what happened. I would rather have Mac Jones. We'd be doing better. This is what I said. I love Trey, but not this year. That's why he's running quarterback counter and freaking stuff like that. Oh, you say he can run your offense? Yeah, but not this year. He's making a point. And he's holding John Lynch out to dry. And I'm glad I don't work in the NFL. It's rough.
Man, like I said, you threw a lot out there. I can see credence for a lot of it. I'm not positive. I love the conviction, though. I will say this, though, and I said it a couple weeks ago, and you tend to agree that whether he was doing it on purpose or not, he was setting Lynch up to be fired by not playing a whole draft class. Essentially, every time you have somebody go down and you should play somebody from the draft class, nope, they're not ready. They need to sit a year. We'll go get a veteran who was on the streets and we could have had 100 times over this offseason. And not only are we going to pick them up this week, but they're going to start this week because the rookie's not ready. So I just feel like there's so many things, so many outs that Shanahan has that it's got to be Lynch if they don't win.
This is how the NFL works. It's not a culture of accountability. When things go, it's not like the military. When things go bad, people are like, yo, that's on me. That was on me. Blame me. It's not how it works, even at the highest levels.
Finger pointing.
Yeah, I mean, these jobs don't come around very long. They go quickly. And if you fail once, you may not get another one. So when it starts to be clear that things are going south, it's very strategic. Everyone starts sort of positioning their pieces on the board and creating their defense and their blame. And I think Kyle's doing a much better job than John Lynch right now.
Well, they do it for a couple of reasons. One, they want to stick around with the team they're on, but two, they have to look good to the rest of the league in case they do become available.
True.
And let's be clear, Kyle Shanahan's never taken responsibility for a damn thing. He's not going to start now. It's just not in his personality.
No. All right, let's answer some questions. Should Mike McDaniel get any blame? It's an interesting question. If we were inside the organization, we would know the answer to it, but we're not. So I couldn't even. It seems like blaming the first-year offensive coordinator who doesn't call plays is missing the point. It's down there with like blaming the training staff or the grass. It's way bigger than that right now.
Did LaFleur mean more to this team though than what we anticipated?
The Jets offense is god awful. So
it is, but maybe those two together were like, I don't know. Kyle's god awful this year too.
But I never thought much of LaFleur, and what he's doing in Jersey right now reinforces how I felt. So it's a great question, man. Yeah. But I think the answer lies in Kyle. It lies in Kyle. I think there's just an instinct on Niner fans to not go there, and they're like, it's McDaniel. It's the trainer. Like, nah, dude, it's Kyle. Kyle is the emperor of this organization. You know what? How many? Let me ask you this question. How many head coaches have more power in their organization than Kyle Shanahan has? How many? Belichick's one. I mean, Mike Tomlin has less power. Mike Tomlin has less power than Kyle. Sean McVay has less power than Kyle. Pete Carroll has less power than Kyle. Kyle has a lot of freaking power. I don't think it's healthy.
You're right. It's Belichick.
It's just Belichick. I don't think it's healthy. So,
no, it's not.
And
it's definitely not healthy.
And they fired John Lynch. He's only going to get more. So.
And that's the problem, right? And I wrote that piece a few days ago that you published up on SI, and that was the whole point: is that expect that Kyle's going to land on his feet in his next job. Yeah. And the reason is because he's not going to be given that power. And so he's just going to be able to focus on being a coach, and he's going to learn from his mistakes here. The problem is you can get rid of Lynch. You can bring in somebody else, but that person is not going to have more control than Kyle, because you cannot go to Kyle and say, I'm taking control away from you. You did everything you could to bend over backwards to get him to take this team, because he didn't want to be on this team in the first place. Right. So now you're in a position where you have to cater to Kyle. Right. And until you're willing to just say, listen, it's over, we're cutting ties and move on, this team, in my opinion, is never going to establish a long-term winning culture. They may spike from year to year, have a year and then a down year and so forth and so on. I don't think it's going to be a consistent winner with Kyle here.
Here's the thing. And it's not, ultimately, I don't think it's Kyle's fault. He could go somewhere else and be successful. He could. Nah, it's his fault partially. But look, the enabler, the person who created this, Jed and Parag, they are the common denominator behind it all. You got Kyle Shanahan, good coach, gave him too much power. You messed it up. And you couldn't get a real GM. Why? Because of Parag and Kyle. But mostly Parag. Parag is way too influential. We were talking about it earlier. If I were Denise and this were my team, you've had 15 years of data on your son, serious business. If he fires Kyle and John, I would fire Jed and Parag, and I would bring in someone else from a successful an organization that's had success the last 20 years to come in and run this, because Jed and Parag have been here for 20 years. Well, 15. Parag's been here 20. Jed's been here 15. They've had enough time to try to build something sustainable, and they've failed. Parag too. Enough of them. So like, I understand Niner fans when they say, "Oh, we're just going to get rid of Kyle." Like, well, who's Jed? Who's Jed going to get? That's true. I'm with you on that. I wouldn't trust Jed. I wouldn't trust Parag. They're in the way. Get rid of them all and start over. Sell the team too, Denise.
Oh God, yeah, please. I would love that. My gosh.
Curtis said the team didn't even bother to make room for Defoe. Lynch is bad at drafting and signing free agents. He needs to be fired. Yeah, man. I mean, the Defoe thing, the draft picks, hype. I mean, the only thing is you don't really know if it's Kyle saying draft these people, or it's Kyle saying these are the people I like, and Lynch doing these things, and Kyle's like, well, I wouldn't have done that. Hard to say.
That's the other thing about Lynch, right? Is, well, and just the front office, whoever it is, right? I'm just going to blame the brass, and they're all one to me. But this is what they do. They're always almost pulling off a big trade. Ah, man, we almost had Khalil Mack, but the Raiders, man, they wouldn't deal with us. we almost had Antonio Brown, but we just couldn't
Odell
make it
Beckham.
happen. And
We really
we
thought
almost
we were
had
gonna.
Odell, and
We thought we
he
were
was
gonna
still
have
ours.
Odell Beckham. Yeah.
All the time. They never, ever, ever make the big trade. You can't always almost be there. There's something wrong with always almost being there.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Chris says, my thought is Brandon Ayuk doesn't have the yes man mentality that Shanahan seems to want to have around, and Ayuk is resistant to it. I don't know. It's very strange. I like any theory here. I'm going with the punt returnment theory. I think ever since that happened, he looked at Ayuk differently. I don't know.
That I 100% jive with. I think that's a good theory.
Why did Brandon Ayuk start returning punts all of a sudden? He didn't do it last year. I put it out there. All of a sudden it happened. Someone must have went to him and been like, hey, he's got a good point. Can I – what's up?
And we do know that Ayuk did ask to take that position.
He said
he wanted a chance at it. Yeah.
Can you in press conferences ask things like, so it's obvious you're not playing Ayuk for a reason other than what you said. So what is the real reason? Yeah, if I wanted to get my credential pulled. You got to be professional, even if they're not.
Yeah.
Maybe off topic, but oh man, your question to Kyle today was 5 stars, and his answer made my head spin after that Arizona game. P.S. Thanks for being there. Thanks, man. I don't know where I didn't have it prepared. I didn't have any questions prepared, but I don't know what it was. I just remember like tweeting out that quote of him from 4 years ago about Kaepernick, just thinking, man, can you explain how this makes any freaking sense? You said this, you've done this. I don't get it.
The thing is that I think he actually means that, though, right? Like, it makes a lot of sense. And
it's not his plan.
Right.
It's not his plan. It's John's. That's why. Again, I feel it's like, okay, man, you wanted me to do this year? Well, I mean, I can tell you it's not going to work. I said it 4 years ago that this was why we didn't have Colin Kaepernick. Okay, John, you say, all right, hey, I'll trust you because you know more about coaching than me. All right, John, let's see how this goes. And if it doesn't work out, I wonder what the consequences are going to be. Last one, we'll get back to our show. They say that Lance isn't ready. Look at all the rookies this year. First started, he did better than all of them. Yeah, if you look at his numbers compared to everyone else's, they're right there with Mac Jones. And Jones doesn't run. So funny. But the Niners aren't willing to live. It's just weird. So weird. Are we to think that if the Niners had drafted Mac Jones, they would have kept Jimmy Garoppolo and started Jimmy over Mac?
There's
That's
not
rich.
a chance.
That's rich.
There's not a chance.
Let's get back to our show. All right. Javon Kinlaw says something real cryptic on Instagram. I don't even know if I understand it. Take me through it.
All right. So let me see if I can pull it up here real quick because he said a game within a game, sucker-ish in this business. Except for he didn't say ish. So
he said sucker shit.
Yeah, there you go. Well, sorry, it's your YouTube channel.
It's okay.
I know. Okay.
Jimmy Ward broke the rules, so
so ever since then, it's just all free game. All right, good.
Yeah.
So basically, he's just saying there's a game within a game. He's not happy. It's weird to me though that this happens during Buckner week.
Let me just ask you. I'm not on Instagram because I'm 33. Is it still up?
Yeah,
Did he take it down? Did he take it down?
No, he left it up because by the time I saw it from Twitter, and like 3-4 hours later, I went there to check, and it was still up. So
look, I'm not 23 like him, but I have to think that when he posted something like that, game within a game, I mean, he knows everyone's going to interpret this as him talking about his job, right?
Yeah, of course.
So what's up with that, man? Where you at? And he's not practicing today. He didn't practice today.
Nope.
So what's up with that?
I again, to me, the only thing I can think is it's Buckner week, and his teammates are talking about Buckner and how much they loved him. Because here's the one thing we know for a fact, right? They talk about how it was 3 players for 1, which I understand that math, right? It makes sense. They were able to keep Armstead, Ward, and then also draft Kinlaw. But we also know that if they had weaseled the cap, they would have still kept Armstead and Ward. The only guy that would not have been here is Javon Kinlaw. He's the only one because they wouldn't have had that pick if Buckner had stayed. So the fact that now people are coming out and they're talking about how much they miss Buckner and how he was a leader and and Kinlaw's hurt, I feel like he's a little bit emotional about it and he's taking it to heart.
Yeah, I'm with you. But when he says game within a game, is he talking about his teammates or is he talking about the treatment from the front office? Is something going on? Because because the game within the game is almost sounds like, oh, you know, the business side of it or the other. Like, what is he talking about? He's mad.
Is he talking
at
about the
someone.
trainers maybe at some point where they're forcing him to play and he doesn't feel like he can? I don't know, man.
Well,
There's
we'll
a
never
lot.
know. But he's mad at someone. Is my interpretation. That's what the sucker shit comes in from. Someone is performing sucker shit. That he would have to be mad at that individual. And then the game within the game makes me feel like, you know, it's that politics, that stuff that's really important that you wish you didn't have to be good at, but you do. And you start to realize that when you're 23, 24. I don't know, man, but I just can't see him being mad at Jimmy Ward. Are you mad at John Lynch? Are you mad at your coach? Are you mad? I don't understand. But
trainers, does,
you know? And the fact that it's not down yet, to me, is I don't know. It's weird.
He clearly doesn't care. Like he's making a statement.
Yeah.
And it could, I mean, here's the thing is it could be one individual, right? That he's just trying to call out in a roundabout way, but
maybe it's not about football. Maybe he's really mad. Maybe he plays a lot of video games and someone like, you know, it's just like, I can't, who knows, dude? I don't know how 24-year-olds think, but Javon, if it's not about the 49ers, you should probably take it down because everyone thinks it is.
It's about the 49ers. It's something. Come on. It has to be. The timing is too perfect with the Buckner thing, the injury. It's, yeah. If it's not, I'd be shocked.
The fact that he didn't practice Wednesday, the fact that he's hurt again,
Grant, he has freaking arthritis in his knees for the 1 millionth time. Like this is so, all of this is a pattern for arthritis. You had 2 weeks off and all of a sudden you can't practice immediately.
That's because now we're getting to the root of it. 2 weeks off, can't practice. What's the deal with that? It's not like he just played 3 days ago.
No.
He didn't just play 3 days ago. He usually manages this, and they would like him to manage it because I don't think they think it's getting any better. Maybe he feels like I want to get surgery. I want to get this better. Shut me down. Let me have a chance for the. See, that would be more real. That would make sense. You know, I want to be healthy for the future. Let me get this right. The Niners are like, you're never going to get right. Play now. We're just assuming, but not assuming. We're just spitballing ideas. That would make sense. So I don't know. Javon Kinlaw's disgruntled. We know that. Yep. Disgruntled. He could be disgruntled at a squirrel. Maybe he was trying to hunt a squirrel and the squirrel got away and he's like, man, game within a game. That's sucker shit. But we have most likely. All right, let's talk about Buckner, though. This won't go away. You know, really, the Niners haven't been the same since they lost that Super Bowl. No. And that was the last game they had Buckner. And they thought that they didn't need him. He was overrated. His impact was overstated. If he thought he was worth $20 million, he was sorely mistaken. But, I mean, I don't know. I haven't been following his Indianapolis career that closely. All I know is that the defense is not the same without him. The pass rush is not the same without him. With him and Bosa and Ford, they were as good as any pass rush. And now they're like a pretty good pass rush. And I think the difference between him and Armstead was a few $1 million. You pay that few million to have that type of pass rush. Jimmy Ward coming out saying guy was the heart and soul of the team, the defense. It's not good.
It's not. And, you know, there's usually these curses happen in baseball, right? You've got the curse that the Cubs had for all those years. You had the Babe Ruth curse, all that. Is this the Buckner curse? Like, is this making its way over to the NFL? All of a sudden they can't win. I don't know about all that.
I don't know about that because the Niners have they have a million curses right now, man.
Yeah, for
sure. Yorks, I think, are the biggest curse.
Yeah, it's a York curse. Yeah, but here's the thing with Buckner and people. This is the big thing, and we knew this would happen. It's Buckner week. This was going to be a topic. Indianapolis was very smart, making Buckner readily available to the media. Like, let them play a game within a game. And, you know, but the thing is with Buckner is people want to put it on a PFF grade. Well, look he's not getting a lot of sacks. Armstead's playing as good as him. It's not about that, man. There's a human element to football. And that's what people don't understand sometimes. And you can elevate everybody around you. And that makes a big difference. We look at the offensive side of the ball. Trent Williams is a better individual player than Staley. Is he a better teammate than Staley? Does he make people around him better? I would argue that that's probably not the case. So your impact on a team level can be really, really high, even though you've got a low PFF grade. And so there's so much that goes into it. And you still hear to this day what he meant to that team and still means to these players. And even Armstead, I know that they went to Oregon together. I'm a big Oregon fan. So, I loved watching those two play there together. But Armstead follows Buckner around like a puppy. During the offseason, he's always going where Buckner's going. He wants to be around Buckner. He's working out with Buckner. Buckner was the leader of this team. And, losing him in conjunction with losing Saleh and losing Sherman, that's a lot of leadership to lose on this team.
Okay, the thing with Buckner, I don't know. People have different ways of measuring pass rush productivity. I think one is just looking at the difference of what the Niners did as a whole with Buckner on the team as opposed to what they've done since then. But then just look at people look at pressures. Forget pressures. You can't define it or judge it consistently. Look at sacks and quarterback hits because that's concrete stats. I mean, last year, Buckner had 9.5 sacks and 26 quarterback hits. That's a healthy year. That's a good year for a defensive tackle. Yep. Armstead had 3.5 sacks and 13 quarterback hits. He's not on the same caliber. He doesn't affect the quarterback the same way. Right now, everyone's saying Eric Armstead's having a great year. And he is doing – I mean, he's a good player. He has 1 sack and 2 quarterback hits. He's not the same as Buckner. Now, Buckner has 2 sacks and 6 quarterback hits. He's going to finish strong. Here's his quarterback hit tally for his career. 18, 22, 12, 18, 22, 20, 14, 26. He's freaking consistent. Here's Armstead's quarterback hit tally for his career. 10, 4, 3, 12, 18, 13. And they're just not the same. Sorry.
No.
I don't know what they were thinking on that one.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, you knew it would come up at some point. It's Buckner week, but you can tell that it still rubs some of the players on this team the wrong way for sure.
Answer a couple of questions. Jody says, the key to good leadership is self-awareness. Do you think John and Kyle are self-aware enough to know ship is seeking and self-correct? Sinking.
I think John's smart enough to be aware. I don't think he has the tools to correct it. And Kyle, no. I do not believe that guy gives a damn. And I think that he is willing to point the finger at everybody else. I see it in his personality. I know his leadership style. I've worked with his leadership style. Hell, I was his leadership style. And I can say that and say that I've course corrected. Listen, Kyle he's got some intrinsically ingrained situations within him that I don't know if he'll ever be able to get over as a leader.
Out here on the East Coast, the Jets, Mets, Knicks are allowed to stink because even losing seasons make money. Look at Levi Stadium. Jed cares about money, not wins.
Yeah, well, it's a business first.
Well, why is Parag here? He allows them to make the most possible money, right? He saves them. He cuts the fat. He allows them to make the most possible money. Yeah, I agree. I feel like the Niners, when they were run by Eddie, it was more about, spared no expense. Now there wasn't a salary cap, but, it's like the Ritz-Carlton. Just spend big on everything. Now it's like, well, we need to look at our profit margins and make sure we're maximizing our efficiency here. It's like, that's Walmart. Yeah. It's kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of just very corporate and kind of nice. Kind of?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of? Yeah. Definitely not the best.
No, definitely not. But again, football really is a business first, period. I mean, these guys are in it to make money. If they aren't making money, there's very few guys that would be owners still.
Yeah, but here's the thing about the NFL in 2021. All the owners make money. They all make money.
But it's never enough, Grant.
And the Yorks, you don't need Parag here saving you a few million here, a few million there. Like, you're the 5th or the 6th most lucrative NFL fan. You're worth $3 billion. You come on. Can you act like the DeBartolos for once, please? Please. Please.
Here's the problem,
the
Grant,
A's.
Right?
The freaking money ball over here.
Here's the problem. You've got an owner and a coach that basically runs everything that are they're both in their 40s, and they both were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Like, they think the same way. Everything that I just said about Kyle being a leader probably also parlays into York being a leader. They're the same guy in different positions, and they both have high positions of power within the organization. That's where we're at with it.
Any trade deadline moves you think the Niners can make?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And this week is going to be key, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But winning this week is going to be key as to whether they are buyers, sellers, or just stay flat with what they've got. But if they can reel off a win or two before this deadline, then they definitely should be buyers. And two names that are out there right now are Kyle Fuller and Cam Dantzler. Now, Cam Dantzler has been out there for a while. There's been rumors for a while that he can be had, and the 49ers were interested. But I also like Kyle Fuller. And Fuller he's the veteran, right? But he's the opposite. He's the antithesis of what it is that Verrett brought to the table. So same age. The difference is he always plays a full season. He's always healthy. He's always playing regardless. And he's a damn good player. So Kyle Fuller, from what I'm hearing, is available for a third or a fourth. I think that's a move that you can make. And then you can keep him for another year or two while you're building up the Mosleys, the Lenores, the Thomases, what have you. You're going to have to spend a second-round pick on a corner. You have to next year. But if you can skate by and pick up a Fuller or a Dantzler and they work out well and you can do it for a third or a fourth, maybe that can save you next year and you can use that second for, I don't know, a center.
I like it. I like it. I'm going to go outside the box here.
Okay.
I'm going to go an offensive player.
Okay.
Since Kyle Shanahan doesn't like Brandon Ayuk anymore, I can't count on George Kittle. This offense is all Debo. They need another receiver. How about Odell Beckham Jr.? How are you going to trade for Odell Beckham Jr.? You don't have any picks. You're right. I'm not going to trade a pick. I'm going to trade a player. What does Cleveland need?
Quarterback.
Quarterback. And they're desperate. And they run a very similar offense than the 49ers, and they're desperate. So here's what could happen. Trade deadlines in 2 weeks. Let's say Jimmy starts against the Colts, wins, plays well. He could.
Yeah.
The Colts aren't that good. Then he goes to Chicago, wins, plays well. He could. He's a good player. Chicago's not that good. Who knows? I'm not saying that's going to happen. It could. Trade deadline comes across. Cleveland calls him up. That Jimmy looks great. Plus, he's so handsome. Could we trade you Odell Beckham Jr. for Jimmy? I would do it. I would do it here. I know Odell's expensive too, but he's cheaper than Jimmy, and you can cut Odell at any time with no dead money. So why not?
You're basically swapping problems, right? Exactly. They've got a salary cap problem that they don't care to have.
Jimmy anyway.
No, so we have a salary cap problem. The problem is that we all would love to get rid of Jimmy. Let's be real. I'm not sure that this team wants to get rid of Jimmy. They don't seem to have any urgency in getting rid of this guy.
But here's the thing. Like, if they think they're going to hold on to Jimmy and he's going to finish out the season, they're going to get a first-round pick for him, and that'll be all worth it because they'll recoup some of the assets. They're tripping.
No.
We're talking on October 20th. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. Pipe dream. Wishing upon a star.
You're 100% right about that. 100% right about that.
If you can get Odell Beckham for him, just take it, man. Because if you wait till the end of the year, he's probably going to get hurt once or twice. Sorry, again. And then you'll end up trading him for like a sixth-round pick in 2044.
You're just going to cut him is what's going to happen. He's getting cut. Like that's what we're headed towards. But you're right. I mean, they've got an injury-prone player that's making way too much money at a position they could care less about. When we've got a quarterback that makes too much money.
2 more games. Healthy, playing well. Thank you. 2 games healthy?
Yeah.
Don't risk it. That's like being at the craps or at the roulette table and then like just betting on black 2 times in a row and win. Don't go for a third, man.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. And some of these other teams that we thought might be desperate for a quarterback, now all of a sudden this Deshaun Watson's talk is starting to heat up around some of those teams. So make your move while you can. I just don't see him doing it.
Big game Sunday night.
Huge.
In a lot of ways, the season hinges. If they lose this game, they're not necessarily going to be trading for Odell Beckham Jr. at the deadline. Wouldn't necessarily be buyers. They might be sellers. How do you see what's at stake?
Yeah, so, I mean, we just talked about the trade deadline. Obviously, it impacts that big time. We talked about John Lynch earlier on, and if he possibly is the scapegoat. Well, listen, you're one step closer to a losing season and not making the playoffs if you lose this weekend. And we've also got a quarterback situation that seems to never end between Jimmy and Trey. If you look like you're headed towards a losing season and the team just throws their hands up and says, all right, that's it. Like, we're clearly not contending this year. Throw in the kid, not only the kid, but let's play Banks. Let's play Lenore. Let's play all of them, right? Like, let's just figure out the future. This Sunday means a lot for the rest of the season. It means a lot for the future of this franchise. The 49ers have to win. I imagine that they can get it done. Also, let's look at the other side. If they do win, you basically can bank on Jimmy G starting the rest of the season, barring injury. Like that, we're done with the whole Trey Lance thing. As long as he's healthy, he's going to play. They feel like they can win with him. Again, you're probably not going to be able to trade him. And now maybe they become buyers. John Lynch saves his job. There's just so many things that go into this Sunday, but this Sunday is extremely pivotable, especially coming off of a bye week, 3 straight losses. You cannot lose a fourth. You cannot lose a fourth.
Yeah. See, to me, I don't know. If they beat the Colts, I don't think that much changes. I don't think Jimmy's spot's secure. I don't think Lynch's spot's secure. They freaking should beat the Colts. I think a lot of people are kind of tired of the negativity. I see it on Twitter. Can we find something nice to say about the 49ers?
Say something nice about San Francisco.
No, they've lost 3 games in a row. Let them win, and then I'll say something nice. And I feel like what's going to happen is they're going to win it. People are going to go overboard. Like, oh, everyone buried this team. Like, dude,
you know it.
Everyone knows they're going to beat the Colts. They're supposed to beat the Colts. They're supposed to beat the Bears. They're supposed to be 4-3. They were 4-3 last year. Problem is the next 2 games after that, they're going to probably lose, and then they'll be 4-5. And then they'll go to Jacksonville and win that, and then they'll be 5-5. And then they'll have Minnesota at home, and then Seattle on the road, and then they could be 5-7. I mean, this is a very it's a tightrope they're walking here, and they can't afford to lose the next 2 games. And if they win them, great, that's good. But what do you want? A cookie? It's Indianapolis. They're not terrible, but you're supposed to beat Indianapolis. If you're the super, the playoff team that everyone says you are, then beat Indianapolis with a week to prepare.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Grant. You just said it. Everybody wants a feel-good story right now after 3 losses. Everybody wants to be like, see, I told you. Just like they did when they started 2-0, and everybody expected them to be 2-0. Grant, everybody expected them to be 2-0. And if you said a bad thing about them after they were 2-0, oh, you're a hater. You're not a fan. You don't know what you're talking about. Get out of this community. Nah, I can't. And I added an extra letter and syllable in there. It's pivotal. God, I don't know why I couldn't say that word.
Sorry. I like pivotable too, though.
Pivotable is a good one.
I like that.
It's like being an ambi-turner.
You said that. I was like, that's a word I've never heard, but I know exactly what it means. I like it. I just learned a new word. That was good. All right, last one, and then we'll take the rest of the questions. Keys to the game and predictions.
Okay, so keys to the game is the run game on both sides of the ball. Let's look at Indianapolis's strengths on offense and defense. They are strongest in the middle of both of those lines. Unfortunately for the 49ers, that is their weakness on both sides. So you have to contain Taylor. I think around 110 yards is all you can give up. You have to be able to corral him. Wentz, I believe, is better than what people want to give him credit for. And he can beat you, but he's going to need some help. So I think containing Taylor and then running the ball yourself is going to be the key. By the way, the 49ers still don't have an identity, and we know what their identity should be. It should be to run the frickin' ball. Can you run the frickin' ball? You've had 2 weeks to figure it out. Please run the frickin' ball. That's what they've got to do.
Yeah, I'm going to keep coming back to the offense. D'Amico doesn't need my help. He's doing great. Do your thing, D'Amico. The offense needs to figure it out. And Colts are a good defense, man. They just laid the smackdown on the Texans, gave up 3 points. They have DeForest Buckner, who I've seen go against the 49ers offensive lineman one-on-one. They can't block him. No one on the 49ers can block him. I know Trent Williams can, but they don't match up. Tomlinson can't. Brunskill, oh my God. I picture that real quick. Oh, stop it. Oh, stop doing that. That is dangerous. Oh my God. What he's going to do to Daniel Brunskill. Oh my God. It's terrible. Okay. What the Niners
I
have to
love
do is
it.
not let Brunskill and Buckner ruin this game. So I think they kind of have to do what they do when they go against Aaron Donald. And I know they don't think he's Aaron Donald, but you got to show him respect, because if you come into this game with like the deep play action passing game, he's going to wreck it. He's going to beat Brunskill and he's going to sack Jimmy Garoppolo. And you have to put Jimmy in the shotgun and do all the jet sweeps and the pop passes and get in the screens and get the ball out on the perimeter as much as possible. And that's how you play. I don't think you're going to be able to have the deep drops and get the long, big plays in the passing game. Not that you ever get those with Jimmy anyway, but forget it. You got to just make Ayuk and Debo, but Ayuk too, do a lot of work with the ball in their hands after the catch. That's what I think. What you got to do.
Yeah,
Ayuk needs
absolutely.
to be a big player in this game.
Yes, 100% he does. If he's not, is Hasty playing? What's the word on him?
No,
I know they opened the
practice window. They may bring him. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Next week, probably.
Yeah.
Next week, I would imagine. Yeah, I think you have a certain amount of weeks for him to finally practice and play is the way that it works. I'd imagine next week is that week.
3 weeks, but I guess they could. Activate him this weekend, like on Saturday. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think they're going to do it though.
Probably
Okay. So can Kyle trust those guys? That's what it comes down to. I think it's going to be low scoring. I still don't see the 49ers being able to move up and down the field, especially with Jimmy at quarterback. I would hope that they come out strong their first drive. You've had 2 weeks to figure it out. So I'm curious to see how that first drive goes. Maybe they score a quick 7. But outside of that, I'm going to go 24-20 49ers. But man, this one, this could go either way. I really do believe that. So
I'm not ready to give a score yet. I'm sorry. I'm picking the Niners though. I think they should win this game.
You are.
I am. I think they should win this game. As long as Jimmy Garoppolo is mostly healthy and they can keep him mostly healthy throughout the game, they should win. Really, even without George Kittle. But I don't know if they can't keep him healthy. And if he gets hurt, they'll lose. If he has to play 50%, they'll lose. If they're bringing Sudfeld, they'll lose. And even if he does play healthy, he stays healthy and he plays the whole game, I think it's going to come down to the very end. I don't think this is a team that puts anyone away. The Niners couldn't put away the Lions, who have no wins. Now, the Niners also outgained the Cardinals, who are undefeated. So they're an enigma. They're very talented, but they just let everyone hang around, and every game goes down to the end. So while the Niners probably will outgain the Colts, it's probably going to be a one-score game at the very end, and it could come down to whether or not Joey Sly makes a kick or misses one, something like that. So I think the Niners are going to win the game. I'm with you. It'll be low scoring. 24-20 sounds good. Something like that. But
I also think Jimmy's good for one turnover. And can the defense get one back? I mean, they haven't been able to force any turnovers. The defense has been great. I'm definitely not putting anything on the defense, but one thing they have not done is force any turnovers.
I think they've got 2. Someone came on my channel to see, I forget who it was, and said, well, what about the fact that the offense can't, like the defense is shutting out offenses in the first half. If the offense would just do something and give the defense a 2-score lead, then the opponent has to panic and scrap the run game and start taking chances. And that's often when you get the turnovers. Yeah. But the offense is like, here's 7 points at halftime. Well, they can stick to their game plan and pretty much be conservative safety first football. The offense could help.
I think it's a great theory. And to back that theory up, I have 2 quick things. One, Jimmy G talked about the key to the offense is keeping the ball moving on third downs, which we have not done a good job of, he said, of doing that consistently. Well, they did a good job of that when Trey played, and guess what happened? They held the best offense in the NFL to 17 freaking points on the road. That is not a coincidence, in my opinion. As long as you can keep that ball moving,
the offense
then it helps things out. Yep. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, let's answer these questions and wrap it up. Camelot's Red and Gold says, didn't Denise not care about the Niners? She likes the hockey team. The Niners were Eddie's pride and joy. She likes money Niners generate. Yeah, didn't she own the Penguins? She's from Youngstown. I think they own the Penguins. And I don't get the sense that she really cared about the football team, and that's why she gave the team to Jed, because he's a fan and he cares. But that was, 2008 or something when he was 27. Now he's a 40-year-old guy who hasn't succeeded. So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I didn't think about it like that.
Next question. Moving right along. defenses have a blueprint on how to play against the Niners offense with Jimmy G under center. Wouldn't be surprised if we take an L against the Colts. I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners take an L either. It's going to be a really close game.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to be surprised. I think it'll be close.
Close game too. Bears game's going to be close too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as big on Fields as I mean, people just go nuts over. I mean, look at he makes some good throws, but I think he's turnover prone too. So, I think he can that's where they could probably pick up a couple turnovers in that game. I'm not so worried about the Bears.
Interesting. Jody says, love that Jesus only hat. Me too. Lombardi said that there is a good plan for Trey. He said that, huh? Does he know? Is he in the meetings? He knows so much. They need to not expose him too much until ready. Work on footwork. Point. We knew Trey was raw and needed to be developed.
Counterpoint. I've got a counterpoint to this whole thing. Okay. So what happens when a quarterback goes under fire and they've been working on their mechanics for a year like Trey has? They revert back because they are not comfortable with the speed of the game. Right. Yeah. They're not comfortable with the speed of the game. And there's so many things going on around them they're not used to that they're trying to figure it out. So here's what you can do by playing Trey. You are not going to fix his mechanics mid-season, and that's okay. You play him. You get him used to playing in the NFL, getting that feel underneath him so he's comfortable with that. Then when you go work on his mechanics this offseason, he doesn't come back and feel like he's underprepared on the other part of the game, which means he's not going to revert back. If you do not do that, what's going to most likely happen is you're going to work on his mechanics again in the offseason, and he's still not going to feel comfortable, and you're going to have 2 wasted years of working on mechanics because he feels under fire. He doesn't feel comfortable making those reads, and he's going to revert back. That is my concern.
He's the least experienced quarterback, I think, ever. Think about it. He's 21. He played 1 year in college football. He didn't play any JUCO. I've never heard of that. And that's why I was turned off to him when I first, before I started looking at the quarterbacks, I was like, I don't even want to evaluate him. Like, that's a joke. Are you kidding me? That's not a resume. And the rest is history. I love him, but he needs reps.
Yep.
Kid needs reps. It's so simple, man. I mean, he got 300-something passes in college. He needs reps. And the longer he doesn't get them, the worse it is. So he's the least experienced quarterback ever in NFL history. I've never heard of someone as inexperienced as him being the number 3 pick in the draft. It's unprecedented. And the reason he is because he's a freaking phenom athletically, but he needs reps.
Yeah, 1,000%. Sitting is not the answer with Trey.
Belichick loses heartbreakers in the Super Bowl. No problem. Back at it the next year. Kyle drama and disarray until the whole thing burns down. Oh.
It's leadership, man. It's that leadership style. He wants to be everybody's friend. God, I wish I had the account. Somebody on Twitter sent me a DM and then sent me a long email about this. And it opened my eyes to, it was after I wrote my article and then he wrote me that email and it just put it all together. His leadership style, man, it's what it is. It's what it comes down to. He wants to be liked way too much. It's why he's very passive aggressive in the media. It's why he calls out whole position groups instead of individual players. It's bad leadership, man.
Hey, forward me that note. I want to read that.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Take out. I want to know. Lynch built the top defense despite injuries and draft busts. Can't say the same about Kyle on the offense. Good point, John.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah,
that is a good point.
True.
Yeah,
it's true.
Jed's got to figure. That's why if I were Jed, I would not try to figure who should I wouldn't do that. I would fire both, and then I would fire myself and Parag for the good of the organization, and then I would say, you're welcome. And then I would go down as the most popular person in Niners franchise history. I fired myself.
Yeah.
I suck, and I know it. And everyone's like, thank you. Hey, I tried. You can do it. Why not?
Yeah. Here's the other thing, too. Good coaches always find a way to stay 8-8, even if everything's going wrong. Look at Tomlin. They played Duck freaking Hodges and were 8-8. And last year was about as bad of a disaster as it could be for Belichick. They were closer to 500 than even the 49ers were last year. So
such a hilarious name for a backup quarterback. Duck. Yeah, you're going to have to.
Yeah, you're going to need it.
Tony says Niners let Eric Armstead get his shoulder right with surgery, and he's finally fully recovered and playing well, hoping for similar results from Kinlaw. Well,
but this is a need.
We were talking about that. Maybe that's what Kinlaw wants. Maybe he wants. But, I mean, he had the cleanup surgery in the office. How many cleanup surgeries you need? There is something to say. The Niners, I hate coming back to their training. It's not the training. whoever's doing the surgeries for the Niners, it's a lot of setbacks. I mean, they can't fix Jalen Hurd. Whatever's going on there, they can't fix Jalen Hurd. Watch him go to the next team and be like, oh, it feels better. Hey, look at my knees. Thank you. I don't know. They can't fix him. They can't fix Kinlaw. What's up with that? Why'd you draft these people if you can't fix them? Why were you so confident?
I mean, luckily they're able to fix Bosa. Thank God for that.
Well, this is good. Met Fred Warner at the mall last night. Seemed like a great dude and leader. Although the Buckner loss hurts, I'm glad we kept Fred in our team.
That's for cool. Sure.
Like
Fred's legit.
Fred was at the mall. Which mall? Santana Row? That's so funny. I get the Fred is that he's a true pro and he's going to go down as one of the great Niners. At the same time, he's like 24 and he just got what kind of a signing bonus? And Massive. He went to the mall. He's like, I'm gonna get some nice stuff. Hey, man, me too. I go to the mall too and get nice stuff, and I'll have a fraction of what you have. So I feel that.
He seems like such a throwback, though, man. Like he's just all business. And people are trying to. Well, even he's not playing that good this year. It's like, let's chill out for a second. Fred Warner's a pro's pro.
Fred Warner is playing good. People say he's just not is playing well, and Warner isn't. God. See, this is when I get upset. What are you talking about? Stop it.
PFF grades. PFF.
Stop it. Chris says, if we are sellers at the deadline, who would you try to offload to pick up picks?
A lot of people, man. I would try to offload Kittle if I could. I would try to offload Armstead.
All those guys on one-year deals.
Yes, all of those. Yep. Yeah, anybody I can, man. For me, I look at this team and I've got staples, right? I've probably at this point got Williams, obviously Trey, obviously Warner. We just talked about that. Obviously Bosa. Outside of that, I'm probably willing to wheel and deal with any other player on this roster. I really am.
Me too. Even Debo. Debo's having a great season.
He's about to get paid now, Grant. Like that's the problem. I love that he's having a great season. Debo's my favorite player on the whole team.
Great player. He's going to do great.
But man, he's going to get paid.
Look at Kittle and be like, okay, I learned my lesson there. Now let's pay Debo. Like, really? Are you sure about that? There's nothing Debo can do this year that erases his history last year and what he did in college. He plays a very physical. I'm just saying.
There was a play against Arizona last week, Grant. This is Debo in a nutshell. I think it was the one where he had the over route. Lance ran out and dumped it over the top to him. He gets the ball, and instead of just going out of bounds, he starts high stepping. And as soon as the corner comes at him, boom, he lowers his shoulder at him. Unnecessary. But I love it, right? I can't pay that. Like that's tough. These are the decisions that you got to make. And that guy's going to want a lot of money and he's going to continue to get hurt because he plays so physical.
Yep. Juan says Nate Sudfeld and Odell Beckham. That sounds like dangerous. I thought the Niners stunk until I saw the Brownies play against the Cardinals. Lance Baker. Yeah, but we don't know about Nate Sudfeld yet. Wait till we see Nate. He's such a pro. Grant, what skill set do our CBs have that stand out?
They don't.
Emmanuel Mosley's good. He's really good in man coverage. All of a sudden. I don't know.
Mosley's really good at learning lessons, by the way. Like not only like from season to season, but in a game, if you beat him with something, he usually doesn't get beaten the same way twice. He's a smart player. He's a headsy player.
D'Amico's much more aggressive with the cornerbacks than Robert Saleh was. Saleh was all about not giving up the big plays. D'Amico's like, get in that wide receiver's face all freaking game. Yep. And I kind of like it.
I do too. I love the aggression. I absolutely love it. And they will give up a big play from time to time, but at the same time, they will also pick up sacks and
they take away the easy stuff, which is I would always talk to Saleh about that. Like, man, you're really going to let this guy complete 75% of his passes on you? Can you take away the slant, please? Can you just take away the slant? He's like, man, we're good as long as we don't give up the explosive plays. Like, okay. But you're really going to let Mitch Trubisky complete 80% of his throws on you? Yeah. And D'Amico won't.
Well, that's because Kyle likes to talk about explosives, as he calls them.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Jody says, oh, Noah, it was your theory. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Good call. That was
a good theory.
That was genius, dude. Grant, before season, it was projected that we go 12-5 and get wild card. Is that no longer plausible? Hold on. That would require 10-2 the rest of the way. Am I wrong? 10-2 the rest of the way?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could happen.
Wild card, by the way, is still plausible. 12-5 is not plausible. In fact, I think 11-6 is plausible. 10-7 still gets you in the wild card, in my opinion.
I think there's 5 wild card contenders for 3 spots.
Okay.
Niners, Rams, Seahawks, Vikings, Saints.
Okay, so the Rams will make it. Niners, Rams. I think they're better than the Vikings. They get to play the Vikings, so that's good. You beat the Vikings, that's it there. I don't trust the Saints worth a lick. Seattle's out of the running now. So, yeah, 10 wins is enough. That's all you got to get, 10. It's a race to 10.
Unfortunately, I feel it in my bones that Buckner is going to double his season sacks and quarterback hits in this game. Oy vey. Shaking my head. Yeah, oy vey. This is an oy vey game for DeForest Buckner. Double oy. This is how Niner fans need to see it. Who do you think the Colts would not want to see a quarterback? Obvious answer is Trey. P.S. Grant. P.S. Grant and Jesse equals ratings. Thank you, Keneal.
Keneal's the best.
But the way the Niners are weaseling out of having to make a choice, a bad choice, is Trey's hurt. Trey's hurt. So, Trey might be hurt next week too. Trey might be hurt until the trade deadline. I'm just saying.
It's funny how they always know. Kyle's always like, well, I think Jimmy's going to be back after the bye week. He should be good to go. And then I'm just projecting Trey's not going to be healthy this week. He should be good to go. I think he's good to go next week, though. You're just projecting that he's good to go next week, huh? Okay.
Kyle is not a leader. He points fingers and never offers constructive criticism. A good coach knocks you down and builds you up. Can him. I'm with you. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I think whatever growth Kyle Shanahan needs to have isn't going to happen here. But, of course, Jed is just going to enable him and keep promoting him and giving him more power because that's Jed. And the Niner fans are going to really not want to, internalize how bleak and depressing it is that that's happening. And they'll just say, you know what? I think it's the right thing to do. Because what's the point of being a Niner fan if you're just going to be like, you know what? It's such a train wreck and it's so slow. And I see it's more years of it. I get it, guys. I know it's really tough. But I feel like as long as we keep speaking truth to power and calling it out, we can at least get Denise's attention, someone's attention up there and be like, guys, can you stop letting your son run this organization into the ground? Please, please, please.
I was talking with Vish last night, and he said that you brought up a good point, and we both unfortunately agree. You said, is it just possible that this is a bad organization?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is right now. It is very possible that's the case. Right. And it's a harsh reality because nobody wants that. But I mean, how dysfunctional. It's like
if Robert Kraft was got in trouble for that thing that he got in trouble for, whatever for. And they were like, NFL was like, you know what? You need to give your team to your sister. And she was like,
no,
I don't have any interest in football, but my 27-year-old son's a big fan. He's running the team. And that's the Patriots now. It's like, well, that's quite a come down. Used to be the standard. And now it's like, well, we hope this 27-year-old figures it out. And that's the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. I mean, it's bleak. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry, 49er fans, but I'm trying to do the best I can here.
Yeah, and then Belichick retires and they hire his mullet son. That's exactly what this is like.
Pretty much. Lynch should give 85 the Bowman treatment and cut him. Man, I don't think we're there yet. No. Niner fans are mad though. I feel it. Jesse, these shows are getting long. The people want more Jesse. Oh, you know what I said? We forgot we're supposed to do this the whole time. If you've made it through, and a lot of people are still here, subscribe to Jesse's channel. If you haven't unsubscribed, subscribe again. I want you subscribing to Jesse's channel tonight because it's phenomenal. It's just a fantastic channel. It's as good as this show was tonight, and it was a great show, if I don't say so myself. It's a great show.
It was a great show. And if you want more made-up words like pivotable, we came up on our show with recatches. It's a stat that we have. We do a whole bunch of weird things like that. So, yes, tune in. Grant, I appreciate it. And anybody that comes over, make sure that you go to the first video on the channel. It was a relaunch video. Just say in the comments that you have subscribed. That'll enter you in to win $100 in fan giveaways November 3rd. So there you go.
Before we leave MD 2020, has anyone seen Kyle congratulate any of his quarterbacks in the game on the sidelines like Pete Carroll does? Is there any video footage out there? Good question. I've never seen it. I've seen him look at his play sheet, though. I've seen a lot of – there's the good thing. Okay. I have this like a USA Today image database that I get with Sports Illustrated. And it's important. You use it for articles and stuff. Every week you look up the Kyle Shanahan picture. It's 3 pictures of him looking at his play sheet. Every week. It's him like It's the same picture. They can never get him. They can never find him doing anything other. I don't watch the TV copy because I'm at the game. I don't know if people see him doing stuff like that, but he's constantly looking in his play sheet. Like, can you have a human interaction for once?
Just one.
Just one?
Speaking of, so I said that Javi was on the show last night. He brought up a hell of a point, Grant. Get this. He said that there was 0 times throughout the game. And now that I'm thinking it through, I think he's right on this. At what point was Jimmy Garoppolo ever pulling Lance aside throughout that game and saying, hey, I'm seeing this. Let me help you out. That relationship is not a good relationship.
Alex Smith used to do that for Colin Kaepernick. I think a big reason that Colin Kaepernick's best year, arguably, was 2012, that year that he just came off the bench and led him to the Super Bowl. Alex Smith was his backup. And Alex Smith is an earnest, brilliant, excellent quarterback, brilliant person who really gave his all and helped Colin. I don't know if Colin was appreciative. I don't know. But Alex did that for him. I don't even know if Jimmy could do it if he wanted to. But I don't think Jimmy's inclined.
That's the thing, though.
If he wanted to. Like, what were you going to say? What are you going to say, Jimmy?
Right. But that's the thing is for all those people that are like, oh, Trey Lance needs to sit and learn. Jimmy's going to teach him a thing. What is Jimmy? Jimmy doesn't want to teach him a thing. I don't care what he said in the media. The fact that he came out after Trey Lance threw that first touchdown pass against the Lions goes, yeah, it's really hard to congratulate the guy. And then you're not helping him during a full game. Right. He doesn't want any part of this, man.
Good times in Santa Clara. Jesse, it's been a pleasure. Things are going to be better tomorrow. I have a feeling that Jed's going to wake up and it's all going to make sense. He watches. He's a big fan and he's going to have the epiphany he needs. And I'm glad. It gratifies me. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And I'll be back tomorrow with Jason. Niners Coast to Coast. This was Niners After Dark. Good night, everyone. Sweet dreams.